So what's up, y'all? Talib Jasir, producer and director of the Turnaround Podcast.
And half Edatonian, half Durhamite. Stewart, Squirt, Holley. We checking in for the turnaround's first live Q&A.
Word up. All right, man. So I want to talk a little bit about our background, how we got started, right?
Right.
So interestingly enough, we started this in 2008, actually.
Right.
With us deciding that this is your story is a story to be told.
Right.
You know, we wanted to let folks know your journey. We wanted to let folks know, what you've been through, where you're
Right.
going, what you was doing. So we started this in 2008 and really was a writing project.
Right.
Wasn't
Yep.
even considering podcasting at that time.
Right.
We fell off, like folks do.
Yep.
Life started lifing.
Yep.
And and so, but it was something for me personally, as your friend and as someone who had met you years before, 2002.
Right.
And
That's 20 years ago.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
20
man.
years.
Been friends for 20 years, bro.
20 years.
So it was something for me that I couldn't let go. We talked a lot about. We got to know each other, right?
Right.
And I knew your stories, and I've always been intrigued. Always been fascinated by the life that you lived. We always have stories. A lot of people hold them close to the vest.
Right.
Right. But you spoke, you talked.
Right.
And that made me want to make sure that wherever I was, whatever I was doing, I wanted to make sure your story got out there at some point. So 2008 we started. We let it go.
Right.
But then I found this new platform called podcasting.
Podcasting.
Right. And I had to introduce you to podcasting.
Right. And I'm still a novice
Right.
to podcasting.
Right. But you was with it.
Right.
And I appreciate that. So after I introduced you to podcasting and told you what it was about and that we were going to do an audio story,
Right.
We got started.
That's right.
We got started in, I would say, 2019.
2019.
Yeah.
2019.
Word up.
Yeah.
So talk to me. What made you want to say, yeah, let's do it?
Well, it was a complicated process, right? The very first thing I did was go to intimate family members, starting with my mom and my dad. And my mother was totally against it, simply because she didn't want people to judge me because of my past, right? And my dad said that if I felt like it'll help someone, do it. So after getting, both of their opinions about, the turnaround and doing the project, at the end of the day, it was still my decision. And, going home, sitting in private, thinking about it, praying about it, it was an easy decision for me to say, let's do it, simply because no one walking on this planet can judge my spirit when I leave this earth. So I was like, let's do it. I was willing to discuss any and everything that I could recall. Yeah. And, I tried to be as factual as possible, tried to be chronological as possible. But, I hope people, forgive me a little bit, because you got to think we're talking about things that's, over 35 years old, some of it. Yeah. So, like I said, I was just trying to be as factual as possible and as chronological as possible, and put it out there where people could relate to it and understand it, without any fears, or backlash, because anything we do warrants a positive and a negative response, So, like I said, but at the end of the day, no one can judge my spirit. No one can judge my soul when I leave, when I pass away. Yeah. That's what made me say, yeah, let's do it.
Word up. And so a part of this process, man, we, like you said, chronological order. So we started from your earliest recollections to today.
Right.
And there's still more to tell.
More to
You're
tell.
Still sitting right here.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? The legend continues.
Yeah.
Right? Bull City Legacy, right?
Bull City Legacy.
Word up.
Yeah.
So Talk to me about Bull City. What does that mean to you?
Bull City, what Bull City means to me, means a lot of things. Struggle, progress, pride, a city that doesn't give up. Durham is a great place. It's a great city. Durham has a lot of great history. You know, you got people like Martin Luther King, and you know, you got people that was involved in the civil rights movement and contributors to history that's visited Durham at some point in time. Durham is rich in history. You know, we got North Carolina Central, you know, and then, yes, this is the home of Duke. When I'm out of town or out of state and I meet people and they be like, you know, where you from? I like to joke with people, you know, testing their, you know, mind power. And I be like, I'm from the home of John Lucas, you know, and they be looking like, what? Who? You know what I'm saying? So then I might mess with them a little bit more. I say, well, you know, I'm from the home of Rodney Rogers. You know, and they be like, oh, I think I know who Rodney Rogers is. I'm like, yeah. But, you know, but that's just the realness of it. You know, Durham is like anywhere else. It's got its good parts and it's got its bad parts, you know. But when I think of Bull City, I think of a great city right here in the South. This is the heartbeat of North Carolina. Mm-hmm. No disrespect to no other city in North Carolina, but this is the heartbeat of North Carolina. You know, Charlotte's a great city. Winston-Salem is, you know, good city. You know, Raleigh, you know, is definitely a good city. You know, then we got all, you know, other counties, but Durham is the heartbeat of North Carolina. So part of being a Bull City Legacy team member and competing in that Tobacco Road basketball league, you know, I felt like you got to come through Durham. Mm-hmm. And when you come through Durham, you know, we got a nickname for Durham called Dangerous Durham. You come through Durham, you know, you face the Bull City Legacy, oh, you in danger. You know, that's how I felt, you know, and not in a negative way or like, you know, we talking basketball talk, you know what I'm saying? That type of a talk, you know, if you ain't, you know, if you ain't from the D, running the Bull City Legacy, and we come across you on your squad, y'all in danger.
Word. Yep. Let's talk about though the dangerous part, right? Anyone who heard season 1, the turnaround, right, learned a lot about your upbringing, you know, your earlier years, mm-hmm, the misguidance that you had and dealt, yep, with, and so there's some stories that we didn't tell. Right. There's some stories that only you know. Right. There's some stories that only, you know, people that are closest to you know.
Right. True indeed.
You know, there was there's a thing for me where I believe that once people leave this earth, right, it's up to us to continue because, right, we still got breath, we still, right, got life. So we pick up the torch and we keep going for them. You know, right, we tell stories for them. Right. Right.
That's right.
And so there's a piece of your history, right, where, in a sense, you still living for them.
Right.
And I want you to share that a bit, you know, because that's a part of your heart. That's a part of what shaped you.
Right.
And a part of the reason why you chose to tell your story.
Right. Right. Well, first of all, I've never been a selfish individual. And my biggest weakness is my compassion for other people. It's always been my biggest weakness, you know. But, you know, I want to speak about one of my best friends from high school. And this young man was cut down as a 16-year-old. And again, that's something that I never talked about to this day with anybody. Not my mom, not my pops, not either one of my brothers or my sisters. Now, those of us who went to high school with him, and I'm speaking about Booger, better known as Adrian Allen, some of us, we get together from time to time. We remember his birthday, and we remember him and we celebrate him. Again, that's something I've never discussed with anybody outside of those select people. right? Because we love him, we remember him, and we miss him. And, but the thing about it, the whole thing about Booker's murder was what separated me from everybody else was, again, there were some family members of his that personally don't know me. They knew of me because they heard things, and rightfully so. But that's what come along with getting in trouble with the law at an early age. Some of his family members had heard, oh, that little boy gets in trouble with the law, that type of thing like that. So fast forward to the night when Booker was shot, and died a couple of days later, there were some family members of his who actually blamed it on me, saying that if he had not been with me, and I was 18 at the time, I had just turned 18, but those particular family members had said that had he not been with me, it wouldn't have happened. And for a long time, I carried that on my shoulders, you see, because I can't bring him back, and the hardest thing about that night was I remember when, we realized that he actually had been hit, right? We didn't see no blood. We saw like maybe three, what appeared to be drops of blood on his shirt. But when we realized he was actually hit, I can never forget how he laid on the ground, curled up like an embryo. And all he kept saying was, "Squirt, it hurts. Take me home to my mama." He kept repeating that, and that's pretty much some of the last words I heard him spoke. To harbor, the burden of that for all of these years, for me, it wasn't good. But again, at the end of the day, I didn't feel like I had, at that time, anyone that I could go to. I felt like I was on my own on that, right? I addressed it once to my mom's, and she said how she felt about it. And again, the biggest thing that helped me kind of get over it just a little tiny bit was, some of his immediate family members who do personally know me told me it wasn't your fault. And that helped some. But at the end of the day, a life was lost. And people who didn't know me was throwing shots in my direction saying it was my fault. I wasn't the one who had the gun. What we're in the wrong tonight, I don't know. You know what I mean? But we didn't attack them with no weapons. You know what I'm saying? We attacked those guys with bare fists, and that was after they were the aggressors first. So, but yeah, that was in, that was in October of 90, I think that was October of 94. October of 94, early October of 94. So we're approaching the anniversary of that. And his birthday is the 23rd of September. He would have been 44 this year. It's just something, that's just something I can never forget. Tough obstacle to try to get around. But it's never easy.
Yeah.
It's never easy.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it. We've talked about that before. We even have a video of it, but I've been very careful and strategic about how we approach that.
Right.
Not only for you, but for the people out there, right? So what's interesting is that, and the reason why I wanted to talk about it today was people have gotten to know you, right?
Right.
Wanted to make sure that you got out there first.
Right.
And so when we think about our stories, we think about rap, we think about the turnaround.
Right.
A lot of folks compartmentalize, have experiences, they don't know what to do with them, they don't know how to express it. But it's something that a lot of people can relate to.
Right.
And so people can criticize stories and reality and criticize rap, right? But until there's not one young black man, young black woman dealing with that, or anyone, because it can be across ethnicities and nationalities, but
right, that's right.
Until one person isn't experiencing it in life, it's
right.
real.
Right.
It's true. And they need somebody to relate to. Right?
Yeah.
And so the turnaround has created some foundational stuff for folks to even reconcile with the things that they haven't been willing to speak out loud.
Right.
Yeah. And so that's part of the legacy.
Right.
And so I want to know the impact it's made on you personally, being able to express those things that at one point you kept inside.
For me, felt like tons of hidden pressure alleviated. I guess because I've harbored those inner feelings for so long to myself, right? So then to release them, it's harmonious. I don't know if I pronounced that word correctly, but it's harmony. You know what I mean?
Harmonious,
Like, being harmonious. They're gonna be in my country ass tongue, but I do pronounce certain words incorrectly all the time. Country tongue of mine, but yeah, it's what? How'd you say it? Harmonious?
Harmonious.
Yeah, that's how it's been. Like I said, that pressure just felt, alleviated. I felt the new spirit. Because again, I harbored a lot of these inner feelings for so long and kept them to myself. And like I stated in the turnaround, I knew I had people I could have picked up the phone, called, talked to, but I just didn't. For whatever those reasons were. I do my best not to make my problem somebody else's problem. So, but I had to at some point realize that we all have problems. I have problems. And if you have problems, you need to talk to people, especially people who care about you. You see what I'm saying? People who really care about you, you can go to them and talk to them and express yourself to them, and they're going to give you the right advice, or at least point you in the right direction. And that was another reason. It was many reasons for me wanting to do the turnaround, but that was just one of many, so people would know that it's okay and it's all right to talk about it. We was joking in the car on the way over here saying, like, how everybody on social media want to portray their life to be so picture perfect. They don't have a worry in the world. Well, we know that's bullshit. So, we all go through adversity, we all go through ups, we all go through downs. But the thing about it is, when adversity comes for you, are you going to stand up? Stand up. And if you need somebody to talk to, it's okay. So that was another reason why I wanted to do the turnaround, to let people know it's okay. Because if not, then what you're doing is you living with a disease. And that's what I've been living with for all of these years. I've been living with a disease, feeling like I can't go to family members and talk to those family members, and get that guidance and that nurturing that's needed to avoid making emotional decisions or immature decisions. You see what I'm saying? Because it's hurtful to lose my best friend like that. It was hurtful. And then to have certain people that don't even know me to basically blame me for that, that's hurtful. You know what I mean? That's hurtful. And, I want the best kid. I certainly want the worst. Was that situation my fault or not? That was out of my control. Again, I want the one with the gun.
Yeah.
And to go back to that night real quick, I remember the lead detective. He was the lead detective in a charge that I had just a couple of years prior, a shooting charge that I had, right? So the first thing he asked me was, in front of, my homeboy family members, his mom's right there and everything, he asked me, did I have a weapon? Being young and, hurt, and upset that he asked me that, especially in front of my homeboy parents. You know what I told him? I looked him in his eyes. I said, hell no, I didn't. And if I did, it'd be one of them landing here instead of my boy. Now what? That's how I felt at that time. And, you know, you asked a hot-headed, you know, 18-year-old, 17-year-old.
Yeah.
So, you know, but yeah, that's people just need to understand that you can overpower your way through adversity. You just got to have a will, and it ain't easy, but you can do it.
Yeah. And so speaking of that, you know, we just touched on the impact that it had on you. What were you hoping that it would have? What impact it would have to the world?
I would hope that it would. I hope that the turnaround would not just only shed light, but I would hope it would make someone else take a look in the mirror, you know, and say, you know what, this might not be my biological son or my biological daughter, but I married his or her mother or daddy. I would hope that they would take from this and look in the mirror and say, I ain't gonna treat, you know, my stepchild like this, you know, or a bully. I'd hope he would say, you know what, I'm gonna stop that. Pushing over little kids and taking their little toys from them. I'm gonna stop that. You know, I would hope that, you know, they would take that from it and, you know, put an end to it. You know, because some people don't come out of those situations, and it could shape anybody for the better or for the worse. I'm just fortunate that I figured it out before it was late for me. You know what I mean? Like, you know, it's like it said, you know, you better check yourself before somebody else check yourself. So that's primarily what I would hope people would get from the turnaround, that they would take a look in the mirror, and we start there first. You know what I mean? And like I said, just, you know, try to be the best version of themselves as possible. You know what I mean? And understand what you're getting yourself into before you do it.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
Word. Jay-Z has a line that said, I told you that so you don't have to go through that.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And so there was a lot of the season one where that was the sentiment, right? Where you speaking truth about these different scenarios,
right,
that you might find yourself in these situations. You don't have to stay there, you know?
Right.
You might find yourself incarcerated. Right. You don't have to be incarcerated, right, in the mind, you know?
Right.
The turnaround in and of itself is there's a reason for that title.
Right.
So I want you to get into that a little bit.
To, you know, make that pivot, you know, it started with the self. I had to start with myself. I had to look in the mirror, and you know, what changes can I make? What can I do better? How can I be better? And I work on that every day. Again, it's not easy, but that's the challenge of it, and that's the beauty of it, the whole process of it. You know, trying to take myself too seriously, you know, find that balance, because I realized through all of that this is a gift. Life is a gift, and this is the only one we get. And when it's over, it's over. You know, so what I discovered is what we do in between it. You know, from the time we're born to the time we deceased, is what you do with it. I realized that while I still got breath in my body, and that's what I'm thankful for. So, you know, if we can help keep, you know, kids out of foster homes, if we can help, you know, to keep, you know, the youth going to prison systems, that's what I'm about. You see what I'm saying? If we can help, again, stop some domestic violence, that's what I'm about. You see what I'm saying? And like I say, people don't want to talk about those issues, especially publicly. Some don't, because again, you know, they showing what appears to be vacation me, picture perfect me, you know, but they don't show that side. You see what I'm saying? So that's my biggest aspiration, you know, for the turnaround, that we could touch lives and save some lives, you know, and that's what it's about, you know, progressing and going forward, you know. So we got enough, you know, comedians and clowns out there. So I ain't set out to be that, you know. I ain't want to set out to be near one of those. I like to laugh, joke, have a good time and all that, but at the end of the day, I ain't with all that clown shit and all that funny, you know, gimmicky shit. So, you know, that's for other people. You know, you get the turnaround, you're gonna get real authentic story, you know, real authentic people, and we doing it for a purpose, to try to better not just the community but society and what little platform that we do have. Yeah. You know, and hopefully we could touch some people and go forward, and people will grow from it, and we all will grow from it.
Yeah. Not to stay on the theme of Jay-Z, but as
Jay-Z.
you were talking, I thought about another line. That's why they call it trap, because it's exactly that. Right? Yeah. And so I want you to talk about, you know, that's the season 1, right? Mm-hmm. Is you getting out of the trap, because right. You know, everyone, not everyone, and this is why we have to tell these stories, right? Because you know, it's only people who kind of came up in kind of similar environments, similar scenarios, or pay attention, because that's really all you got to do is pay attention.
Right.
Right. Once you get that first knock, that first lock up, then they gunning for you. You know what I mean? Once you get caught up, then it becomes a cycle that is hard to get to turn away from.
Sometimes it's a family cycle.
Yeah. There's so many elements, right?
Yeah.
And so I want you to talk just briefly about that trap, that mindset that happens, and then really the point of this question is your ability to get out of that trap.
Well, the system is definitely stacked against us, right? It's biased, it's corrupt, it's vicious, and it's hypocritical, right? And that's just being kind about that, you know. But again, you know, in a rat, I see the cheese, but I don't see the trap, right? And not calling nobody no rat, or, you know, it's, you know, just a metaphor. But the thing about it is, when we don't use intelligence, and there was a time in my life where I was reacting off impulses and not using my intelligence, and going out here doing things that eventually landed me on the wrong side of the law, right? That's not their fault, that's my fault, right? Going out here doing things I ain't had no business doing as a young juvenile, getting myself put in these systems, and then being inside those systems, you learn about those systems and how this is really where certain people want you to be at anyway. So if you don't use your intelligence and exercise intelligence, then that's when you're going to find yourself at, you know, in those places where you are not cared about, where you are not loved. You're just a number, right? It's constant danger, you know, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. It's constant danger in anybody's jail or anybody's prison system, right? But the thing what we got to do is exercise intelligence, you know. But, you know, the way they got some of this stuff set up, you know, especially with the emergence of social media, when you're a youth, you know, you want to fit in, you want to belong. And I just remember being one of those kids that just wanted to fit in like anybody else. I didn't. Like I said, the girls used to tease me saying that I was ugly, you know, skinny, funny, big lips. You want to fit in. And some of us in our immature stage, we do what we have to do or do what we think. But we do what we think we need to do to try to fit in, right? And you know, sometimes you get caught up going down the wrong path, doing that, trying to fit in with everybody. You understand what I'm saying? But when it leads to a situation where you actually get in trouble with the law, that's when you headed down the wrong path. And again, it's out of bad judgment, bad decision making, that we make those decisions. Because once they get you in those systems and start charging you with felonies, they stay with you for the remainder of your life. It could turn down, it could, you could pass up on job opportunities, career opportunities, college opportunities, just because you made an error, you made a mistake. So again, if we can help somebody avoid going into prison systems and juvenile youth incarceration systems, then that's what we're setting out to do with the turnaround. I know for me, it hindered me. It hindered me in several ways. Catching felonies as a teenager. Not many, but I don't really know what the statistical ratings are. But not many kids have felonies going to high schools. There's some that's out there. There's plenty of them out there. I don't know what the statistical category is, but I was one of those kids who caught felonies in high school. Incarcerated as a middle schooler, that type of a thing, and even younger. So, again, to survive those things, what I learned from it is we got to just be, mentally, sharper to avoid going out here doing things against the law. Yeah. Even if it is you try to put food on the table. But at that age, I didn't have those type of responsibilities. I was just trying to fit in and get certain things that my moms couldn't afford, like certain clothes. Because back then, the kids would tease you because it was what you was wearing or what you wasn't wearing. So I go out here and do some dumb shit, get some money, so I could go get a polo to put on, or a fly pair of kicks to put on, instead of coming to school with, just some shoes that say shoes. So while the next kid, he got on some Jordans and a polo shirt, and that's who the young lady looking at. Yeah. Not me. So, and that's not the most important thing in the world, but again, it's just about when you youth like that, you just want to fit in. Yeah. So.
My dad got me a shirt that instead of the guess with the upside down triangle and the right side up question mark, it was backward. The triangle was downward and it said think on it. Yeah. And I'm supposed to go to school. Yeah. So anyway, man. So
that's some real shit.
Season 2, man. This is your triumph, man. This is your even though the journey hasn't been easy, right? Season 2, we're talking about your basketball career, but a lot of people don't make it out of that season 1 of life, So it's even the Turnaround podcast is indicative of that season in your life, right? And then the next season, right? So basketball was always the anchor for you. Yep. And so I want you to expand on that a little bit.
No matter what was going on in my life, basketball was ever present, and, it's weird, for my mom to say, the first thing I did besides learning how to walk was pick up a basketball around the age of 2. So that's about 44 years I've been around this game, for playing in the parks of Walltown, Whippoorwill and Archdale, Cornwallis, Liberty Street, we go play anywhere we could, because, I love the game, and I started watching the NBA in 85, and my mom was a Detroit Pistons fan. She, one of her favorite players back then was Isaiah Thomas, better known as Zeke. So then my mom cheerleaded in high school, so sports, and then so we got a cousin played in the NFL. Matter of fact, Super Bowl champion with the Steelers in '79. So, sports has been in the household, but for me, basketball, no matter what I was going through, basketball was just always ever present for me, and it's been the one factor in my life that's always been constant. It's been the one factor in my life that's never let me down. It's always been basketball. And I've even had people to try to say when basketball was slow, funds was coming in and things like that. I had intimate family members, trying to persuade me to go elsewhere. But what they don't understand is I love basketball. There's nothing you can say or do to make me turn away from basketball. You know what I mean? So, it's just me. For me, it's just the love of the game. What, keep me around like that. That's a beautiful sport, beautiful game. And it's taking me to different countries just because I could, score the ball and play on high levels. And, one hurtful thing I would like to, point out, at a certain point in time, I was getting word, so-called homeboys at one point in time. This is 20 years ago. I'm in Europe and I'm getting word supposedly, certain people, when they found out I was in Europe, instead of them saying, "Damn, man, that's what's up, man. That man, he what?" It was just the opposite, and when I got word about that, at first I was like, why would somebody say, whatever they said, but I had to think about it. Oh, they're just jealous.
And they don't get it.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But that's just something, that we picked up along the way. And, some of us, that's what we pick up along the way. You hate what the next person is doing, but you don't know how to go about doing what they're doing. So you hate rather than congratulate them. You know what I mean? Like, I always wanted to play in the NBA since a little boy. Didn't know anything about the NBA. I just saw these guys playing basketball on TV, and that's what I wanted to do. Didn't understand the business. Didn't understand money to come along with. I was a kid watching basketball on TV. That's what I wanted to do. I emulated Michael Jordan, and I emulated Magic. In the 80s, just seemed like the best thing in the world, but then to go down to the parks and play, that feeling, I really don't have no words to describe that feeling. Only other ball players know, the sound and the feel of when the ball goes through the cylinder, nothing but nets, that squish, the sound that it makes. I mean, just little bitty details like that, things like that. I mean, drop somebody off because you didn't, hit them with a nice move and they went this way and you went this way, and, it's just beautiful.
Yeah. So would it be a true statement for you to say basketball saved your life in a lot of ways?
Oh yeah, most definitely. Simply because my love for it, my passion for it. Because I don't know what else I would do if it wasn't for basketball. I work on being a professional at whatever task I take. Because my dad always told me, you do something, do it for all the right reasons, and look good doing it. So that's what I believe in.
Yeah. So we are, at this point, we halfway through season 2.
Mm-hmm.
And, we're starting to talk about some pretty serious things, much like season 1.
Right.
You get deeper into yourself as a man with different hardships, different setbacks, right? Basketball continue to be that anchor.
Yep.
Basketball continue to be the thing that pulls you back out of the well, right?
Yep.
So one thing I really want to touch on, this last episode we've just put out, episode 6 and 7, talks a little bit about depression, right? And without getting into some of the reasons why, right? Understanding that, there's a point in episode 6 where you say, I'm in my 30s, and it's the first time I hear the word depressed.
Right.
And then relate it to myself.
Right.
You heard the word, but you didn't know what it meant, because there's been times most likely that you felt depressed before, but no one wants to claim that, right?
Yeah.
No one wants to say, okay, most of us just want to say, get your shit together to ourselves. Like, what the fuck's wrong with you? Like, stop being a bitch.
That's right.
And get up. We want to keep pushing forward.
Yeah.
But So it takes something to acknowledge that, wait a
Right.
minute, I need to pause and I need to
Yeah.
reconcile with certain feelings
Yep.
in order to move forward.
Right.
People we know that we can look at and say, something ain't right.
Right.
They don't know it, won't even deal with it.
Yeah.
Right. So it's taken
Won't
a
even
lot.
acknowledge it.
Exactly. So for this whole turnaround so far, there's been a vulnerability that you had to engage with, and that you had to be willing to share in a way, like we talked about earlier in this conversation,
Yeah.
that it will hopefully liberate the next man,
Right.
the next woman.
Right.
And so when it comes to mental health and stuff like that, not in terms of your own journey, but what's the importance, you would say, of especially men, Black men,
Yeah.
men in general, people in general, what's the importance of focusing on that mental health and taking it seriously?
Well, the importance of it is, you definitely would like to try to squeeze as many minutes, as many hours, as many weeks, months, years you can out of life. And if you're unhealthy, then that'll cut some of that, And I am not in a hurry to go to the cemetery. And damn, that should be a bar. But the importance of it is, don't be afraid to seek help. Because your continuation is the most important thing. Our continuation is the most important thing, and we need to be around for our friends and our family, in particular our family. We need to be around because as a man, you a brother, you a father, you a son, you a peer, you a colleague, and people do love you, and people love me, and the thing about mental health and depression, especially like I can't speak for all men, but I know when I was going through my phase, I didn't even understand and didn't even know that I was depressed, and when I kind of came to grips with it was, like I say, talking with one of my mama's neighbors, and I was explaining, he's an older gentleman, so I was explaining to him the emotions that was going through me on the inside, and he was the one that was like, boy, you depressed. And I was looking at him like, what? I was like, nah, homie, you got me, misconstrued. I was like, shit, depressed. But then later that night, when it was just me and those walls, that word went through my head again, like, damn, like, that's when I kind of started to realize, like, this is what I've been, feeling all this while, depression, because I've heard the word, but I never knew what it was. So, because at that point in time in life, I don't ever recall being depressed. I'd have been sad, and hurt and let down, but never depressed. That was a whole nother level. How I felt about myself at that time in life, that was depression. I was hard on myself and I was down on myself. But, the crazy thing about it, it's amazing that I hid it so well from people, because 98% of the people had no idea. They had no idea, and the remaining 2%, they had an idea, but they didn't, they couldn't pinpoint anything in particular, So it's just, important just for a continuance in your spirit, a continuance in your life, because your family and your friends, they want you here. People want me here. People want you here. And if our health isn't right, again, that could cut years on your life just because of that.
Yeah. The suicide statistics really for men and is super. It's real.
Right.
One thing they talk about is that men use the instruments to actually make it happen. So where we use a more violent way of doing it, like a gun or something like that.
Right.
Women tend to use pills.
Right.
They slit their wrists and it could fail. But
Right.
men get to it.
Yeah.
And so it's super important, right? To be able to one, acknowledge that there's something going on. to seek help when we recognize it, and seek help with people who have the capacity to do something with it, right? And I think that's a lot of times where people tend to hide it, because you look around and you see that they're going through some shit. So how they gonna help me with some shit? They going through some shit, you know.
No doubt.
And being afraid to lay our burdens down, like you said, on someone else. It becomes a mattering conversation in a lot of ways. So I'm super proud of what we've been creating.
That's what's up.
Yeah, and I'm proud of the fact that you were willing to go there, because in your willingness to go there, it's not even a question about it helping somebody. You know, it's helping somebody, right?
Right. Appreciate all the feedback from everybody out there real quick. Just want to get that in for everybody who've been sending me text messages, reaching out through Facebook Messenger, everybody that's been responding to the turnaround, family members, friends. Appreciate you guys. You know who you are. Help us spread the word about the turnaround. We just getting started with this thing. But we definitely appreciate all you guys. So, you know, we need your energy and your effort.
Yeah. And the party ain't over.
Right.
You know, we got some other things in store. We're going to do more of this. More live conversation, more interactive conversations. Get fans of the show involved and allow them space and time to ask some of the questions that they've had. Throughout listening. Because
there's some out there that definitely would like to ask some questions. Yeah. And I've actually reached out to them and asked them would they be willing to participate. And they gave 2 thumbs up. So we'll rap about that.
Yeah. So as we move this forward, we're still in season 2. And so there's going to be a few more episodes to come out where y'all are going to have an opportunity to hear more of your journey in basketball. And I want people to know, like, that where are you now situation.
Yeah.
You know, where is he now? What's Squirt doing now? So tell folks, you know, some of the things that you've done since you put down the pro basketball. What your vision is for yourself, or what you're doing right now?
So right now, I am currently growing my mobile personal training business, Workhorse Fitness. So getting Workhorse off the ground, working with clients, you know, I have people who approach me. They want me to work with their son. They want me to work with their daughter, or they may want me to work with them, you know, because they want to get in better health. I've been doing personal training probably since like 2008. So been working on getting Workhorse Fitness off the ground. Haven't gotten to the point yet where I, you know, go get a facility. And so right now I'm just mostly mobile. I haven't gotten to the point yet where I went and got an actual facility, get, you know, some commercial equipment, then open up doors. So that, but the, you know, and alongside of that, I stick with my forte, which is basketball, of course. I am proud to say I am a member of the Triangle Basketball Officials Association. So I'm a high school basketball official for the state of North Carolina. I love officiating. It gives me an opportunity to learn what's the high school rules, but it gives me an opportunity to learn the rules of the game at a high school level. And our job basically is to regulate basketball games, JV, varsity. We regulate basketball games through the National Federation of High School, their rules and regulations, so that no team gains an unfair advantage of the next, you know, team. So that, and coaching high school girls varsity basketball. I'm proud to say I'm head coach. Got my own program. So we're getting Daly's Academy. We're getting it off the ground, getting that program going. And I've been blessed to have some wonderful girls, and look forward to moving that program and growing and continuously learning about my sport and my craft, which is basketball. And like I was telling you a little earlier, my basketball mind never shuts off. And I really don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I could be at home in dead sleep and a player go through my mind, or, you know, I toss and turn sometimes. I be thinking about, you know, especially now that I'm coaching. This is my second school in 10 years, but especially now that I'm coaching, I'm always at home at night thinking about what can I do to get, my team better. You see what I'm saying? And I tell my players, I say, yo, y'all fortunate because y'all got a coach who loves basketball.
Yeah.
I ain't here for the check. I love this game. So in order to get an opportunity to teach this game, it's that's the gratitude from it. That's the joy from it. You see what I'm saying? Like to take and pour myself, into these young athletes, to pour myself into these young athletes, and they just absorb what I'm teaching them, what I'm sharing with them. Then they actually go out there and you see them progress with it. Man, that's the best feeling in the world. Man.
Yeah, dope. And so there's this, it's Maya Angelou book, right? And it says, "Wouldn't trade." Yes, the title is "Wouldn't Trade Nothing for My Journey Now." And you've had a journey, but it shapes you.
Yep.
I'm a big believer in what doesn't break you shapes you.
Right.
Because it informs you.
Right.
It teaches you things.
That's right.
And so, what you think about that thought?
That's she, the great Maya Angelou, she phrased it like that. Tupac said, "The rose that grew from the concrete." You know what I mean? Like they saying the same thing but worded it differently. What I think is, matter of fact, what I feel is, in order for us to live, you have to be mentally strong. And what I get just from hearing that phrase is to be mentally strong. And no matter what adversity I face, I do my best to prepare myself for any predicament, and I accept it. Whether it be financial, physical, or emotional. Just stand up, hit it head up, deal with it. Run its course. Because when it's over with, definitely you be stronger. You be stronger. And you can push forward. You know what I mean? And I believe that's what gives us life. And I'm not ready to give up on life. I had plenty of opportunities to give up on life, and it's not easy to be mentally strong, but I'm definitely grateful that the Creator has seen something in me to give me that mental capacity and that heart, to stand up during adversity. No wife by my side, no kids running up, daddy, because when the world done shows you it's ass, and you come home to your wife and your kids, you forgot all about that. I go home at the end of the night before walls, you know what I mean? So, I'm thankful that God gave me the capacity, to deal with it and to learn from it and to grow from it and to continue on, and then to try to, like you said, to try to help somebody else, to avoid those hardships. So that's what I feel hearing that from the great Maya Angelou.
Wow.
I never heard that phrase like that, but
Word. All right, we wrapping up. So I want to talk about, where we heading with the turnaround. You and I are thinking about where we're going next with it, and one of the ideas, without giving out too much information, is really, and you touched on this a little bit, putting some respect on the journey of a person and where their life takes them. Mm-hmm. And so as an international professional basketball player, in the WBA, and the ABA. Right. World Basketball Association, for those who don't know, the WBA, not the WNBA, which is the Women's National Basketball Association, but the WBA, the World Basketball Association, and the ABA, for those of you who do not know your basketball history. All the major contributors to basketball, they either competed in the ABA, which is the American Basketball Association, or the NBA, which is the National Basketball Association. Word. Hello. Word. And so, we're gonna make sure that people know some names.
Yeah.
That that they don't know, right? And put some respect on that, because either way, if you on the hardwood floors,
right,
you on the hardwood floors,
right. How you titled it with only professionals play,
right,
you know what I'm saying? There's levels to it, you know what I mean?
Levels to it. Yeah, absolutely.
So with that being said, just real quick, let me say this. For those of you who do not know your basketball history, I'm gonna say this just real quick, real fast. Don't let nobody call you a semi-anything. You know, I want to put some clarity on that. I did a home video one time on that when I spoke out about it being a semi-pro basketball player. That's a derogatory terminology that was used to belittle and degrade the American Basketball Association players in the 60s and the 70s. Okay, so that's where that terminology comes from. It's a derogatory notation. Okay, you're either professional in what you do or you're amateur, and just because you're paid to do a thing, it doesn't make you a professional. There's other intangibles that go into it. You know what I mean? So just to say that real quick.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, man. That's why we're here. You know, you super clear about the life you live.
No.
And you have the ability to share it in a way that is unique, in a way that people can pick up what you're putting down.
That's what's up.
Yeah. So I want to thank you.
Likewise.
Yeah, I want to thank you. It's been an honor and a privilege to share your story with the world, and we're not done yet.
Right.
And you definitely not done yet.
No doubt.
So thank you. And you know, we're gonna do this some more.
Yep.
Do it again.
Yep.
But also, as you said earlier, I want to thank the folks who are listening.
Yeah.
And sharing that they're listening, and continue to share it.
Right.
Share it far and wide, because there's a lot of people that haven't heard it yet.
Right.
That need to hear it.
Right. And big shout out to Mac and Tunes Recording Studio. You know, to work with both of you guys, I want to say this, you know, while we're here, you know, it's great, you know, to get you guys to connect. And you two, in my opinion, have been a great, you know, force. You know what I mean? Because you know, you've put a lot of effort into this and a lot of energy into this, and I can't thank you enough. And you know, for Mac, just hands down, one of the cleanest and best professionals I've seen. And when I first met him, I was like, listen, man, I'm gonna be calling you, you know. And fast forward to the day where we sitting at today in his studio. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You know, this is some epic shit. That's all I can say. Yeah. You know, so this is epic. And again, appreciate everybody, you know, out there for tuning in. You know, leave comments, share it. You know, check for it. You know, and just be careful and be safe out there.
Word. Well, thank y'all, and until next time.
Yeah, you know, hey, keep pushing forward, and you know, just stay tuned for the turnaround, because we got more to come. We're gonna grow this thing. We just scratching the surface.
Word up. On all streaming platforms, and until next time, we out.
Yep, that's what's up.